You're listening to Reignite, a podcast where we talk exclusively about aliens with scars, visors, and sniper rifles. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And today, we landed on Aya. After checking in with the crew of the Tempest, Ryder gives the order to fly for the vault. On our way, we're stopped by a very grumpy Ket named the Archon, though he doesn't tell us that. We learn nothing about him except that he does not like not getting his way. We escape through the Scourge to find a pocket of paradise hidden among lava. Here we meet the Angaran people. Their governor leads us through the city so that way we can be introduced to the leader of the resistance and get glared at repeatedly. After we learn some more about the Angara-Ket War, we gain our final squad mate, Jal Amadarav. He gives us 2 possible missions to help us gain Ephra's trust and access to the vault on Aya.
I'm so glad that you made that comment about Archon, because we'll get to this, but I'm going to say it now. When Jal mentions, oh, so you've had an interaction with Archon, I'm like, how do we know that? How do we know? He never said his name. How do we know who that person is? Also, I'm a little wispy and wiry. I'm recovering from a cold. If you listen to my other podcasts, you can actually follow a timeline of my recovery, this being the healthiest I've been so far. So have fun with that.
You're a mess, dude.
Yeah, no shit. But yeah, you weren't kidding when you said this was all story. Like,
it was.
When I blinked and we were leaving the planet, and I felt much like Korra. I was like, why are we leaving? We didn't do anything. Well,
yeah.
That might have been Vetra who said that. But I was with them. I was like, where are we going?
There's one thing you can do on Aya. That's it. And I made you skip it. You'll come back to it. It's fine. It'll still be there. But it's not like there's anything else you could have done. No matter what, they were going to be like, no, you can't be here. Please leave.
Which, legit, if I, as a human, I get it. We suck.
Yeah. Before we get into that part, though, let's check in with our squad.
Yeah.
Check in with the crew.
Do you want to talk about the emails we got first and then go into the squad check-ins?
The only email of consequence that I took note of was that PB does not like Lexi.
Yeah, it says PB the Peeved is the actual title, which I thought was very funny.
That's how she signs off on it, yeah. Because, Lexi asks too many questions. It's just Lexi's trying to build psychological profiles and take care of people because that's her job. And PB's like, no. I will not have you invested in me in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, PB is a professional question dodger, so...
She is. She's so good at it. I just found that very funny because it's the first sign that the two of them are not going to get along, and PB, actively works to not get along with Lexi.
I mean, it seems like PB's going to actively work to not get along with quite a few folks, but I guess we'll see.
And then after that, I checked in with Suvi.
Yep. Mostly just in awe of the vaults, their size, and, what that means for the things we'll see in the future. She gets very sciencey.
What did you say that the vaults were for?
There was an option for, talking about discovery, right? Or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I chose.
Yeah, I chose parties.
Oh, did you really? Amazing. You would say something dickish like that.
And she has this moment of, very interesting. And she, speculates about it for a second. And then she looks up and she's like, you're joking. I'm like, yeah, I am. You're cute.
Yeah, it's funny. After talking to Suvi, I go over to Callow, and my notes say bickering with handsome guy, because I couldn't remember Gil's name until I got to Gil. So I just want, Callow's bickering with handsome guy again, because that's, I didn't know what to call.
Ken's gonna be so mad that you can't remember Gil's name.
Yeah, he will.
Just to go back to Suvi real quick, I want to highlight that I find it very funny to me that her teenage rebellion was discovering God.
Yeah, it's
she's like, other teenagers were discovering Batarian music. I found God. I'm just like, really?
That's how you rebel.
Okay.
Good for you, I guess.
I mean, hey, it works for her, and she's, not obnoxious about it. She does say something very, beautiful to me. God, to me, is an artist and inventor, which I really admire that way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I feel like that's a interesting and cool way to look at it. Definitely better than some of the other ways, and more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not infantilized, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, I can't find the word for it, but like radicalized way of thinking about religion. Like, this is not radicalized. This is very much like it's a comfort.
It's very open.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of allowances.
Yeah.
And I think that Suvi, as a lesbian, is not ever going to be the kind of religious person who thinks everything should be a certain way.
Right.
So there's a lot of freedom in the way that she believes, which I think is really nice.
Yeah.
And I think that if more people embrace their religion in that way, then maybe there wouldn't be such a stigma about talking about religion.
Yeah.
And it could be a more welcoming environment. And I think Suvi makes it welcoming when she talks about it. Also, the benefit of talking to Suvi is that we learn more about how we were able to study Andromeda from so far away.
Right.
We learn that it was actually Geth Tech that helped us be able to see Andromeda. They were able to turn a Mass Effect relay into a faster-than-light sensor, which is wild.
Yeah.
Wild fantasy science fiction bullshit, but I love it. I think it's so cool.
It is.
And I think in light of the rumors going around about the next Mass Effect game, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way to tie the two together.
Yeah, I have trouble speculating just because I haven't played this game yet. But,
right.
But I hear that. I also like that when you talk to Suvi here, you can talk to her about the scientists back on the Nexus and how, like, you get to ask if they're buds. And
yeah, and they are.
It's very sweet.
It's very
and
sweet.
that they've been working together for a while, and that she sends them readings and information as they discover it.
Back over to Callow. I'm sorry to have interrupted you before.
No, it's okay.
Yes, fighting with Gil. He doesn't really want to talk about it. He doesn't like Gil. He doesn't like the fact that Gil redesigns things. Like, it's a perfectly fine ship. He just needs to learn how to work with it. He does not need to be redesigning things. But don't you worry about it. I got it. I'll handle it.
Yeah, my headcanon is already that the two of them are in a relationship. I know they're not, but like they argue like an old married couple. They just bicker. It's hilarious.
So funny. But Callow is such a gossip.
Such a gossip.
He'll tell you anything about everyone except for Suvi because she's right there.
Yeah. Which is kind of a fun trait to have in a Solarian, just because typically they've all been very analytical and talking about facts and research and science, and he is a gossip, and like it's a typically very, also being a gossip is typically portrayed as a very femme thing in media, and so it's fun to just have a male Solarian here just being a gossip and being very like coy. It's hilarious.
I like the way that he like approaches things. He likes pretty much everyone. Like, Liam seems like a lot of fun. I think Drac doesn't like Solarian, so I'm going to stay out of his way, which sucks because the food he makes smells delicious. And Vetra is so nice. It's just like, you have a nice thing to say about pretty much everyone. You're so sweet. You're such a good boy. Also, I really want comics about the Tempest crew, about the ones who were designing it. Because when he tells these stories, they sound like such interesting and fun characters that I would love to see and not just hear about through Callow.
Yeah, I think that there's clearly a very rich world to dig into here. And like all gripes on the technical side and how the game was kind of broken when it came out and those kinds of issues, I can't fight against those. But like narratively, there's a lot here. And so I think it's a rich world worth exploring. And characters like Callow make it interesting to want to explore.
For me, Lexi was hanging out by the research and development table.
Yes, same. With Drac and Cora.
Yeah, with Drac. So this is a really good moment to get insight from Lexi on the crew.
Yep.
And she divides everyone by species so she can track behavior and patterns.
It's weird. And like I don't think it's racist, but it's one of those things that feels like someone could construe it as such. It's just it's a very analytical thing to do, but it's just like it's weird, and you can react that way too, which I think is funny.
Yeah, I think that if everyone had the same like biology, if everyone had the same stress reactions and stuff like that, then there's a stronger case for, like, there's no point in separating them that way.
Right.
But because, like, humans will react differently to stress than Turians and things like that, that makes more sense to me, because she can think about, like, here are all the humans and, like, compare all of their behaviors.
Right.
And, like, this seems in line for humans. So I think that does kind of make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying that it's racist. It's just one of those things that is a weird thing that is noticeable.
It gives you pause when you hear it.
Right, yeah.
Also, I remember in our last episode when we met Carrie Tavessa, you were not happy because Carrie looks so similar to Lexi.
Uh-huh.
For some reason, in this lighting, in this, like, conversation that I'm having with her, the resemblance is gone to me.
Interesting.
Like, when I was looking at her, I was like, you do not look like Carrie at all now. And it could have been, like, the lighting of her skin. It could have been the shadows of her face. I don't know, but suddenly they were very distinct to me.
I mean, look, it's a video game, and, like, there are limitations. And, like, in the original trilogy, there were tons of humans that looked identical to each other, especially, like, the thugs that you would fight often had similar looks. So, like, it wasn't a big deal, but I stopped thinking about it, but I didn't notice a huge difference this time, so it didn't even really track with me.
If there are speaking characters that you have to actually interact with, I think it's important that they are visually distinct.
I agree.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But I just found it weird because when I looked at her and we had talked about how she had looked like Carrie, it was just like, you don't look like Carrie anymore. What happened? It took me by surprise.
Sure.
We can also talk to Lexi about the memory fragment that we got from our father.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about this.
Sure.
Lexi says something to you about why your father did this. And my reaction was, he always kept secrets. And Lexi says, well, he's sharing them with you now. And I want to call bullshit on that.
Yeah.
As someone who has uncovered my father's secrets after his death, it doesn't make it any easier that you have discovered these secrets, that even if they were given to you in some way. Like, if my father had left me a letter to be given to me at a certain point after his death, explaining all the secrets that I uncovered, I would still be fucking angry. I would still be angry. And it doesn't matter that you discovered the secrets after he died. What matters is that he never took the time to talk to you, never took the time to, like, help you understand, to communicate. And that says so much more to me about how he thought about you, how he felt about you, than the fact, like, well, now you can have all my secrets because I have no choice. But you can only have them in a certain order. If you progress a certain amount, it's a reward.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that Lexi's response is comforting. It actually made me really angry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I had the same response, and I agree. It's like, because she says it in that way, like, well, he's sharing them with you now. It's like, no, he's not. He doesn't have a choice. I'm taking them, essentially. Like, this isn't his choice. He chose to save me, sure, but beyond that, he didn't make any other choice after that. He's dead, you know?
Yeah. And, like, it's not comforting.
Yeah.
It's not comforting, and you have to communicate while you can. Otherwise, you're just going to leave behind broken and confused people, and you're not taking accountability for the things that you did.
Yep.
So, Alec Ryder does not get a pass. He is still on the bad dad walk of fame, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't feel like this game is communicated enough to show why he's a good or bad dad, honestly. Like, you're stepping into a character who has a past that you don't really get a ton of info on. And so the game is leaning you towards a reaction of he wasn't a good dad, because a lot of the dialogue reflects that. But they don't, there's still, like, as I'm sure as you unlock the memory fragments, you'll learn more. But I still feel like they don't do a great job. Like, this is where I'll say a big negative is, I don't think the riders get enough background in the early missions. I think you're just kind of thrown into this situation, and then they're like, oh, and yeah, your dad wasn't great. oh, he wasn't? Okay, I'll take your word for it. I have no idea. I've just stepped into this character's body. And so, like, that's where I think the game maybe early on is lacking. Like, I'm invested now, but I think there's definitely a hiccup there where you're just kind of assumed to know a thing that you may not necessarily know.
I think also maybe the experience is different if it's not truncated the way that we're doing it.
Right.
Like, if you have more freedom to just play as you want instead of taking this time to really explore and dig deep, then maybe it doesn't feel the same. But alas, this is the conceit of our podcast.
At least for this season, that's for sure, yeah.
Let's talk about Drac.
I love that you can talk to him about Kesh some more here. Like, it's just, he's such a proud grandpa, and it's the best. You talk about, you make some comments and about her behavior and how she acts and why you like her. And she goes, well, she had to take after her grandfather somehow. Like, it's the best. He's just
I love it.
Proud papa. I love it.
So good. He tells us about Assistant Spender.
Yep.
So we finally get the dish on this guy. Basically, when the mutiny happened, Spender brokered a deal with the Krogan and said, hey, if you help us squash the mutiny, then you'll get more say in the politics of the Nexus. So the Krogans did it. And then when they were like, okay, about that deal that you made with us, Spender was like, what deal? I don't know what you're talking about. Tan! And then Tan, because he's a bigoted piece of shit, then, like, kicked the Krogan off the Nexus because they wouldn't just succumb. Which, why should they? They are equal partners.
Right.
Or at least they should be. So we now have a mission to investigate Spender and reveal his dirty dealings to the world.
Yep. Something that we had started on the Nexus. We can now continue to follow through after this.
Yes. Also, we find out that Rushan means child of my blood.
Mm-hmm. Which is like,
how sweet.
It's the sweetest.
So good. The only other thing is Drac thinks that having an AI in your head is big trouble.
Yeah, and I mistakenly agreed with him. I didn't mean to. Like, I mean, though, I would say that it's not unlike me. Like, I know that our phones, our Alexas, our Google Homes, our computers are all listening to us. And, like, I've accepted it. That doesn't mean I'm okay with it. I just know what I've wrought, and I've learned to accept it. And so I don't think that my response, because Ryder also doesn't say it's outwardly bad. Ryder just goes, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. And I don't know that I disagree with that opinion, actually, because it is odd to have an AI in your head in that way.
I think if I had a different relationship with Sam, then maybe I would have reacted that way.
Yeah.
But because, like, the relationship with Sam is so symbiotic.
Yeah. And
it's so, like, you thrive because I thrive. I went more towards, like, we're a package deal.
Right.
Like, we are a team.
Right.
End of story. You cannot have a problem with it. I'm sorry. Which, you know, Drac was just like, I mean, that's fine. I don't give a shit. Just don't put it in my head.
Yeah.
Which, you know, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I really loved his retelling of his first meeting with Vetra.
Yeah, it was very good.
And how Kesh basically tricked him.
Yeah. Because of course.
I love it. And Drac is over 1,000 years old.
Yep.
He's so old.
So old.
So old. Let's pop over to Cora and her cottagecore aesthetic. Oh,
just before we go over to Cora, we are able to pet our new pet Pyjack.
Our Pyjack friend.
Who is just hanging out on a crate. And I love how as you walk over to him or her or them, Ryder just goes, I guess you got out of the cage, huh? I'm sure that's fine. It's fine, right? It's probably fine. And then you can pet him. Fine. See, what I need to know is, do you ever get to name the Pyjack? Because that's what I want to know. I'm sure not.
I'm just going to tell you, no, you can't.
Boo. I want to name my Pyjack.
You can name it in your head.
That's true, I could. I don't even know what I'd name it. Maybe for irony's sake, I'd name it Rex or Grunt. But yes, then we go over to Cora.
With her cottagecore aesthetic.
Yes.
She's supposed to be real tough, but she's also real soft.
She's so soft. And when you flirt with her here, like, you get to talk to her about her military service, find out some more about the Asari stuff, and then, like, about how she was also with the Alliance before going to be an Asari commando. And after you do that, you can go, well, I noticed that you're not a soldier anymore. And she just goes, nothing gets past you, Ryder, does it? It's just very funny. It's very sarcastic.
She is. Because she's straight, I don't get that option.
Yeah.
To flirt with her. I find it very lovely that she wants to plant roses in Helios.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a lovely image. We also get a lot of insight into why she is so intense.
Yeah.
She has been abandoned a lot by her parents, by the Alliance, by Nerissa, the commando leader. Her commando leader basically encouraged her and said, you should go do something else.
Yep.
You should leave now. Which, it could have been for Korra's best interest to, like, get her involved with more of her own species, but it felt really cold to Korra.
Yeah.
And I kind of, like, have this dissonance when I listen to Korra talk about her biotics, because she's like, oh, when your biotics are as strong as mine are, and I'm just like, your biotics do not seem any stronger than other biotics that I have seen in the past. So, I don't know what you're talking about.
And for me, it's like, you mean, like, my biotics? Are you trying to insult me and my ability?
No, like, the implication is that her biotics are even stronger than the average person, like, more like Jack level, you know? And because she wouldn't know about Jack, and she doesn't know that there are other people who are as strong or stronger than she is. But, like, it must have been upsetting to be, like, a teenager who's so powerful that it's unsustainable to have you in a ship until you've been trained because it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Then you have to join the army just to get the training. And then the army even tells you, you know what? Why don't we send you to work with some Asari because they will be less freaked out.
Right.
Like, it's probably not a good feeling because you don't know where you belong. Every time you think you belong somewhere, they're like, and we're shuffling you off somewhere else.
Yeah. Like, it seems like there's some effort here also to give Korra more character development than humans in previous games. I feel like so far they've done a good job. Like, I like Korra. I think as far as characters go, she's not one of my favorites, but I like her. I don't think I have a character I don't like. I think Liam is the character I like the least, and that's just because there's a lot of interesting characters. That's not really an indictment of Liam as a character.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't like Korra on first pass.
Yeah.
But I think if you take the time to really listen to what she's saying,
sure,
she becomes much more likable.
I mean, that's Kaden, right? Like, we both admitted to not really, like, thinking Kaden was just okay, but through my playthrough for the trilogy, like, we learned a lot about Kaden, and I ended up really liking him as a character in a way that I didn't at all before that playthrough.
Do you have any other comments, Bakwar?
I do not.
Then let's move on to the Pathfinder Poker Alliance to defeat Gil.
Yeah. I love the passing conversations. It's funny. This reminds me of a newer game because I played them in reverse order. But I recently finished the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which definitely takes a lot of inspiration, especially in the ship interactions and the party interactions from the Mass Effect games. And the cross-conversation in that game is so good that you can't possibly hear it all. Like, the crew, the Guardians are just constantly bantering. And, like, there's a lot of that in this, more so than even in the last game. Like, it feels like every time you enter a room, everyone's just bantering, and you'll either catch it or you won't. And that's the banter. Like, they're talking about teaming up on Gil to take his money, take his credits.
I really liked Liam's contribution to that conversation. When they ask him if he wants to play, he says, no thanks, I need my creds, and my clothes, and both my kidneys.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so funny.
Yeah.
They're all so funny to me. Do you want to talk about PB next or Gil next?
We can talk about PB next. I mean, I don't have a ton to add. I'm given an opportunity to flirt again with PB, and Ryder goes, is there more flirting? We can flirt. And she pretty much goes, I can flirt forever. Don't worry about it. I got you. Like, it's it feels very transactional in, like, a very flippant way, which I think is very funny with the two of them right now. But I didn't have a lot of new stuff, I think. Like, there was no initiating conversation, and I think there was just a few more details you can expound on, but nothing major this time when you check in with her.
Yeah, one thing that I really like about PB is that she's very upfront with what she wants and how she feels, like, if she feels like you need to know it. Like, flirting, she's on board because it's fun, it's exciting, it's an adventure, it's great. Deeper feelings, let's not talk about that.
Right.
And also, she definitely has ADHD.
Oh, yeah. And, like, it's funny because when you talk, there's one part where you can talk to her, you can ask her what she thinks of the crew, and then she starts to go and go and go and go. And when she gets to chorus, she pauses and you go, oh, I chose the option where, like, oh, I can talk here?
It's my turn?
It's my turn,
I get to talk.
And then you go, folks might like you more or be able to show you more if you let them get a word in. And she's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, not even offended, just like, oh, that makes sense. That's logical. I love that.
That's good advice. I like her. She's fun. There's just not a lot to her at this moment because she's still like, I don't want to let you in just yet.
Yeah, totally.
Which makes sense. You just met.
Yeah, for sure. From here, we can go talk to Gil. When you talk to him, you can immediately ask him about, so what is going on with you and Kalos? And he explains that Kalos is kind of more by the book, and he's kind of the more improviser, and they balance each other out. You know, he doesn't really dislike Kalo. He just knows that they can rub each other the wrong way, and he actually thinks it's a good thing because they keep each other even and keep the ship running the best it can.
Gil reminds me a lot of Joker in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, Joker, if he didn't have all that trauma of, like, disability and trying to prove that he's a good pilot despite his disability, or even maybe because of his disability, everything that happened in Mass Effect 1, everything that happened in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Like, if Joker had a perfect life with perfect health, I think he could have been Gil.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And, like, he has that kind of sarcastic humor and, like, let's get the joke in, but he's much lighter about it.
Yeah, he is definitely a kind of a brighter star. He feels warmer than Joker or even a lot of the characters in the original trilogy. I also like here that he is still guarded, though. You ask him about if he came with anybody, and he's like, just one of his closest friends, but he's not. He doesn't even tell us her name. He says, if you get to know me better, I might even tell you a bit about her. So that, which is interesting to me, that like he's happy to tell us that he did, but he won't tell us who she is, which means
he's still guarded.
Right, he's still guarded. And she's either a person who's vulnerable or she's a person of some kind of status. Either way, like, that's interesting to me that he phrases it that way.
My favorite Gil line is, does the Pathfinder know what to do with the dead end?
That's a good one, yeah.
So good. Like, okay, well, rude. I'm done talking to you.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
This conversation's over.
So rude. Vetra. Not a lot from Vetra.
Nope.
I do get to flirt with her a little bit. She's so awkward.
Yeah, she gets flustered so easily.
She's so cute and awkward. Like, did you come here with anyone special? Like, no. Like, special, Vetra. She's like, oh, romance. She's so cute. I love her. Not a lot to talk about her.
Yeah, I feel like her and Liam both, like, it wasn't anything new to really talk about. It was just kind of, you could check in a bit and, like, discuss a few things, but nothing major.
Yeah. She does tell us a little bit about the mutiny and how she could understand both sides of it.
Right.
But ultimately, she decided when somebody is conning you, it's because they know something that you don't. And in a situation like that, she's going to choose the people who have the information that she doesn't have.
Right.
Because they're the ones who are probably going to survive.
Yeah.
And Liam misses his family something fierce.
Yep. I get...
Poor little sad boy.
And I don't mean this as an insulting way, although most of the fan base will take it that way, but I see a lot of parallel between Liam and Ashley. And I don't think, not necessarily, of course, racism aside, but like I just think their personalities, they're very family forward. Family is important to them. They tend to speak with their actions more than their words, you know, that kind of thing.
I can see that.
That said, I know anyone who likes Liam and doesn't like Ashley, which is probably most people, will string me up for that. But this is
I think that's a valid interpretation.
They both seem like military forward, very soldier focused, you know, actions speak louder than words kind of characters.
Yeah. Whereas Ashley was very much about redemption, about proving that the Williams name was worth something. Liam is more about his self-worth, I
Yeah,
think, but his self-worth is not in question. He just values it. And I think, like you said, he is very family oriented. He believes in the mission. And I think Ashley also is a person of strong belief. She just goes about it in a different way.
totally.
I think that there are parallels to be drawn, but they go in divergent paths.
Yeah, for sure. Before we move on to the deep dive portion, there's one other thing I want to talk about. I did finally go back to my quarters and do a redesign and change my wardrobe. And I continue to be amazed. And I had a conversation with Ken Shepard, who we mentioned earlier already, earlier today about how I'm so grateful that nothing from this game was really spoiled for me, other than who the squad mates were. Like, I remember seeing photos of them, but like, I discovered the workout outfit and the Blasto shirt. And so, of course, I'm wearing it. And like, I love it. I love that wasn't spoiled for me. I love that I got to discover that naturally. And like, so my headcanon is that somehow Ryder heard our TTRPG versions of the movies and is a fan. And therefore, Ryder is a fan of me. It's a long way to go, but I'm taking it.
I want a Blasto tank so badly, but not the Scott Ryder tank, the Sarah Ryder tank. Like with the wider sleeves, the more muscle one. Yeah. That's the one that I want.
It's a very good shirt that they should sell if they don't already. But so that was fun. I had this frightening moment that is I've had happen to me in real life with my dad also. But I shaved my Ryder. I took away his facial hair and I made him blonde like I am. For the listeners who may not follow me, I recently dyed my hair and shaved my beard. And I looked so much more like Alec when I shaved the beard because Alec has no beard. It was very weird. Right. And I've had those moments when my dad and I are both clean shaven or both of us have mustaches or beards. We very much look very similar.
Oh, yeah.
I had a mustache for Halloween because I dressed as Luigi. And a lot of my friends who've known me a long time went, "Oh, my God, you look like your father." That's really weird. So I had that. What I love about this game's design is I had that moment with my fake in-game father. I think it's just very funny. Also, as we go into the deep dive, if I had known that picking the workout gear pajama set would be what I'd be wearing all over Aya, I would have thought twice. But can I tell you how ridiculous I looked in every cutscene wearing my workout clothes?
We're with your Blasto shirt.
Brokering peace and trying not to get killed. Yeah.
No, it's not like they know.
They have no idea, but still.
They have no idea that you look like fucking clown shoes.
But you definitely do. It was very weird for me. Funny, though. And I hadn't had a moment like that took me out of a game in a while. And, like, also, that's something that would happen to me. Absolutely. I'd get caught off guard. Next thing I know, I'm still in my pajamas outside addressing people. Like, that would absolutely happen to me in real life. Probably has at some point. So, like, it was funny. It was very funny, but I was also annoyed. It's like, oh, sure. After I finally make this change, now I'm walking around in this outfit.
Yep.
But, yeah, so we go to the bridge to plot a course. We jump. Next thing we know, giant ships everywhere. Mm-hmm. Turns out the Ket were waiting for us.
Yep, they want to talk to you.
Yep, they lock on us. Everything's gone red.
One of my favorite writer moments is when Sam says, "They're scanning us. We'll scan them back."
Yeah, it's so defensive. Like, he's so at a loss.
John said that for him, that was a Kirk moment.
Oh, yes. I would agree with that. That is definitely a Captain Kirk moment. I would 100% agree.
Also, I really like, there's a moment where the Archon addresses you and you're supposed to respond. And in the background, you actually see Cora and Liam. And Cora is holding Liam back.
Yeah.
Because he was about to run up to your side.
Yeah.
He's so loyal, that boy.
He is so loyal. But yes, you are addressed by Archon, though, again, he never tells you that. Just the subtitles do. And tells you that you know, essentially threatens you and that they're going to, you know, kill you, destroy you, tell you you're interfering.
Are they going to kill you or destroy you? You don't know.
You don't know.
He never says that. He says today's the first day of your greatness.
Yeah. There's a threat in there. I still believe they have foul intention. And so while you're talking to Archon, Sam tells you that he can pull you out, but he needs you to stall. And so you know, my favorite thing is when he first addresses you, he's like, "Who are you?" And you can go, who am I? Who are you? You know, it's like this.
That's what I did.
Same. Like,
you first.
nuh-uh. I know you are, but what am I? Like, it's just, Ryder is so in over his head, their head. It's very funny. But once you stall long enough, Sam and Callow are able to pull you out, and then you get to thread the needle through another storm and almost die. While everyone is hovering around Callow and you, panicking on the bridge.
Yeah, everybody's like coming up onto the bridge being like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Guys.
Can I have a minute?
You're not helping.
No.
But we do finally get through the Scourge and we lose the Ket ships and we find Aya, which, like I said, it's this beautiful pocket of greenery and lush plants and waterfalls and gorgeous buildings surrounded by like a ocean of lava.
Yeah, it's really striking. I haven't seen a planet make up like that in a long time, or like a level or a stage or an area in a game set up like that in a long time. Because like all the lava planets in Mass Effect original trilogy were all very much desolate, molten planets with ashy ground and like clouds and dark clouds and stuff. And this was the difference between the two was very striking here. As we start to pull onto the planet, we are surrounded by a bunch of ships with a bunch of folks speaking words we do not understand. But Ryder, anyway, at least my Ryder goes, "We have come in peace. We don't want to hurt you." They say some more things and give us landing coordinates. And I'm like, oh, cool, that worked.
My writer says, we're the galactic good guys, I promise.
And they give you landing coordinates, as Callow informs you, and you land where they told you to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to. The ship is damaged, so.
Yeah, Gil was having trouble keeping you up anyway. And once you land, everyone starts to talk, and you're like, look, I have to do this. My responsibility is first contact, and I failed the last time we did that, and I'm not going to fail again. I have to go and make sure that we can broker peace, if peace is even an option. I say...
Oh, you took this so seriously.
And, well, yeah, the reactions I could choose were that. What I didn't realize is after I took it so seriously that I would step out of the ship like a human clown in my workout gear to greet a new race for the first time.
So my reaction was, if this goes badly, if they eat me, even if it's hilarious, please destroy the Vids.
Oh, the second option, I did choose that. Okay. Like, once Ryder, like, sets the stakes, which I think is non-optional, I did choose that one also, which I think is a very good response.
Please destroy the Vids.
Don't laugh at my pain.
And I also really liked the airport joke.
Yeah.
When they're scanning you. Need me to take my shoes off?
Which is literally funny to almost no one. There's no way they still make you take your shoes off in an airport this far in the future. There's no way. There's no way.
Ryder is into that, like, real niche humor.
The retro humor, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We meet the governor of Aya, Paran Shai,
yep.
who has such a deep, melodic voice. Mm-hmm. And then we meet Jal Amadarav,
who also has a very resonant voice. And within moments of conversating with both of them, I'm like, ooh, I like Jal. I like this character.
Who doesn't love an alien with a scar and a visor?
And a visor. After talking to them briefly, they decide that the best course of action is to take you to the leader of the rebellion who is fighting against the Ket to figure out what to do with you, what to do with the situation.
Jal gets all up in your face to be like, Aya's protected. How did you get here? Like, why are you here? What was your response to him?
I don't remember what the options were.
There were 4 options. There was saying that you were sorry. There was saying that you wanted to get into the vault.
Oh, I just apologized, saying that we weren't meant to be aggressive.
It wasn't the plan.
Yeah, that wasn't the plan, was to be aggressive.
To arrive on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I said too. And Jal was like, it's good to know that wasn't the plan, because if it was, it's a very bad plan. And I like to think that that's the moment that Jal's like, yeah, I like this. I like this human.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's, like, a little quirk of the smile, and he's just like, I'll meet you at Ephra's.
Yeah.
Because if Jal, I feel, if Jal decided in that moment that he did not like you, he would have been like, nope, get back on that ship, we don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah, it's clear he had that power. He's an advisor of some kind and definitely has some weight. And then after he walks off, the mayor tells you that she will escort you to the meeting and to walk slowly and stay with her. And they weren't kidding. They make you walk so slow. But it's so narrative can happen. You can hear people talking around you.
Yes.
Like, what's really fascinating to me is, like, people going, you know, talking about you and what you look like. Like, that's not what I imagined a human look like. Stop staring. That's not nice. Like, it's really interesting to hear, like, that background conversation as you ask the mayor about this world and their home and get little bits of information about the Ungaran people.
Yeah, usually I feel like something like this could be a cutscene, but I actually liked that we have to go slowly. We have to endure the whispers of the people around us as we're trying to have this conversation. We hear the reaction that our presence causes. Yeah. And it feels very realistic. It puts you in the very real consequences of your actions.
Yep.
Like, people are afraid of you. People are confused by you. People are angry. Because the last time they met a new alien, it was the Ket.
Yeah.
And we are learning how much of a devastating effect the Ket have had on the Angara.
Yeah, we find out that they've been abducting the Ungarans. And, like, it is clear that they have been waging this war for a while with the Ket. And the Ket, there's no making peace with the Ket. They want to fight.
Yeah, the Resistance fights the Ket and protect the Angara. And fighting the Ket is like a full species job. Like, everybody's got to be on board for it.
Yep.
When we do get to the Resistance headquarters, we see another cutscene with Jal being like a big brother type.
Yep.
So sweet.
Yes, very sweet. Talking to a comrade, making sure that they're safe and that they, you know, not to rush into things. And it feels very reminiscent of how Shepard treated a lot of other soldiers in the original trilogy. Like, kind of, no matter how you played your Shepard, there were often opportunities to be brotherly, especially when it came to soldiers, and teach people a lesson either with a hug or with a kick in the ass. But that kind of energy.
Right. Jal is advising this soldier not to succumb to bullies, and, like, he'll rise up on his own, and, like, he gives him some really heartfelt advice, and then he takes his gun back from the kid.
Yeah.
And he was just like, it's the best in the Resistance.
He's so sad about it.
And Jal's just so smug, like, I know, it's my gun. I really like Jal.
And then when he put it on his back, I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. Like, I was...
The swagger.
Well, because I had also... like I said, I had seen images of the party members, so I had an idea. But Jal is one that once I saw him, he stood out. I was like, oh, I've definitely seen screenshots of this guy. Like, he's definitely going to be our last party member, which you had said we were going to get our last party member here anyway. And so I had that feeling. After this interaction's over, we go in to meet Evra, who is the leader of the Resistance and gives off J. Jonah Jameson energy. Like, just very much like, you do that thing. You get over there. You do that thing. Put out that fire. Give me pictures of Spider-Man.
Give me pictures of the Archon.
And, like, when you approach him, he asks why you invaded, essentially, and you can say again, I apologize. That was not the plan. Like, this was an accident. We were coming here. We weren't looking to be aggressive or an aggressor. And, like, he gets soft with you for a moment. He's like, oh, well, I can understand.
Because he feels for your people.
Right. He feels for your, and, like, knows about the Nexus and feels for them. And then immediately snaps back to being aggressive J. Jonah Jameson type. It's very funny. He, like, code switches really easily. And I'm like, I almost got whiplash. I was like, okay, we're mad at me again. Got it.
Yeah. Ephra is not warm and cuddly, but in his defense, he is fighting an 80-year war.
Yeah.
You know, that they're not winning.
And when you share why you're there, he's like, well, I can't let you do that. And also the person who was researching that place disappeared. And so I can't let you.
It's not so much that he can't let us, it's that there's no one who can help us.
Right.
And the only person who could have helped us is lost to the Angaran people as much as to us.
Yeah. And that's when Jal volunteers to join your crew on his own. He invites himself onto your ship and says, I will watch this human. I will go on some missions with him, and I will evaluate if they're worthy of our help. Like, let me go with him and let me be the beacon for our people to analyze whether we should help them or not, whether we should give them their time, and maybe they can help us too.
One thing I really like about Jal is that he leads very much with his heart and his feelings. He explicitly says, Ephra, I feel that this human is extraordinary, and, like, I have to pursue that feeling. I know you can spare me. I want to go with them. And they respect things like that. The Angara as a whole respect things like that.
Right.
Because can you imagine being, like, a human soldier and saying to your CEO, like, I feel that it is important.
Yeah, they'd be like, get out.
Like, yeah, like, no, we don't do that here.
Especially in the U.S.
Yeah, and I think that with the Angara, they very much do that.
Yeah.
If you feel that something is right, you feel it with your whole heart, I think that's something that the Angara respect. A couple of things about the Angara overall. I love their eyes, the way their eyes are designed. Mm-hmm. Their eyes are beautiful. And their culture is still really interesting to me. I am not overall impressed with their body design because it's just like reskinned Turians and Quarians.
Yeah, it feels very similar to their
like,
design.
you know, one body type.
Yeah. Their knees bend the other way. They make a comment while you're walking to the resistance station. How does he walk upright like that? I remember hearing. But, like, yeah, the design, like, they could have been more alien, I guess. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, what I love about, this is a slight tangent, but most new Star Trek stuff, especially the new animated show Prodigy, which I recently talked to previous guest Erin McDonald about because she advises on that show, is that the alien designs are really alien, really different, which Star Trek had always had, but was harder to showcase. And, like, that's what I want from Mass Effect. Like look at the Hanar. The Hanar are so alien and so cool because they're so different. But, like, and I like the Batarian, even though their bodies are very human-like, their heads are so completely different, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like this was a missed opportunity to be even more alien. But that said, I do like them overall. I think they're really cool and really interesting.
Yeah, like, I like their culture. I like their abilities. Like, they are a really interesting race. But again, design-wise, they could have been designed a little bit better. Right. With a little bit more creatively. But they are beautiful overall.
Yes.
So
also, they got them good speaking voices.
Yes, they do have very deep, very beautiful voices. And I also love the way Jal says Milky, because he says it with, like, a long E sound. Yeah. The Milky Way.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Which, like, I could see why you would say it that way, but as someone who said the word milk and milky often, I'm just like, that was weird. That had texture.
That sounded bad. I love it. I love him so much. So yeah, so Jal is on the squad, and we are back on the Tempest.
Yeah, after the meeting's over and you walk back to the Tempest, I'm just like it doesn't, like, it gives you the waypoint for that, but it doesn't really say or tell you anything. I'm like, I guess I'm leaving? Like, I wasn't sure. As I get back on the ship and we leave, and I'm like, oh, shit, we are leaving. Wait, what the hell? We just got here. Which is immediately Vetra's response once you have the team meeting.
Like I said, there's, like, 2 people that you could possibly speak to in Aya at this point. And you could have gone to speak to them, but you wouldn't have been able to do anything. Right. So there was really no point. And I kind of wish that they just sent you back to the Tempest and didn't give you the opportunity to talk to people.
Right.
Because there's very little you can do aside from pick up a couple of missions. You can come back and pick up those missions later. Right. Like, they're not time sensitive. You'll be fine.
Yeah. It seemed like it would have made more sense to just load it into the next cutscene, because the next cutscene seems to follow so naturally, which is Ryder and the crew back on the ship,
Family meeting.
Yeah, discussing what the hell just happened. And most of them are not happy about any of it. Most of them are pretty ticked off.
They all make me real mad because they're all very quick to be like, what are we doing? Why are we leaving? And not giving Ryder or Jal the opportunity to explain what it is we're going to be doing. Instead, they're like, how can we possibly, like, we had a very specific mission. How can we be fulfilling our mission if we're leaving where the mission is? Like, what is going on? It's like, you know what? If you shut up for 5 minutes, maybe we can tell you.
Yeah, it isn't until Liam speaks up and says, well, I mean, a member of their world is with us. Why don't they say anything? And I think Cora goes, are the universal translators working? And like there's silence, and then Jal goes, yes. And then stands up. And I love that like Jal doesn't try and jump in the fray. Jal waits. Jal is patient and just waits for the moment for them to address him and acknowledge him. And then him and Ryder explain the plan.
I didn't love Liam slamming his hand down, but I do appreciate the support. Thanks, friend. Yeah. Thanks, bud. And Jal gives us a history lesson. This is where we learn that the Ket have been coming for the Angara for 80 years. The 2 planets that we are tasked with going to, one is the kind of battleground for the Resistance. They're fighting for control of the planet with the Ket. And the other is the birthplace of the Angara, and they lost touch with some scientists there. So those are our 2 options.
Yep. Vol and Havarl.
Vold and Havarl. Yes, you are correct. And that's really it.
Yep. This is where we get to make a decision of where to go next, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But yeah, this was a lot more story, but I feel like with every episode I'm learning more and more about this world, which makes it easier to play this game.
I'm really curious what your first impressions have been about the new characters and new places that we have been. Like, what did you think of the Archon?
So, like, the Archon, I kind of nothing him. Like, he seems like this threatening big villain, and then, like, he doesn't even introduce himself, and then we just get away. So, like, clearly Archon is going to be important, but there was nothing important in that moment. It was just kind of a goof, which felt very Star Trek-y, right? Like, now that you mentioned that John said it felt very Kirk, like, it did feel very Star Trek-y to go, oh, big bad guy, peace out, I gotta go. You know, but, like, I didn't really have a reaction to it. And we said earlier, like, I think is beautiful. Like, it was really a gorgeous set, and, like, I'm curious to see more of it. And the Angarans, I think, are a really cool new race. I would have been really pissed if I played this game and it was the same races that were in the Milky Way, because, like, we traveled real far. If there's no new races, like, that would make no sense. And we have 2 so far, the Ket and the Angaran. And then Jal specifically, I like a lot. I think he is currently besides maybe Drac, my new favorite character. I haven't learned a lot yet, but in our check-ins before the next episode, or for the next episode, I'm sure I will. But I like his voice. I like his look. Scars, reticles. We've talked about this before. It's all the things that everyone loves.
Yep. And he's a sniper.
I mean, that's your thing. Let's be real.
I'm just saying. There are parallels.
Yeah.
Let's move on to advice for life in a new galaxy.
Okay.
I actually have 2 pieces. I wrote one down and I just thought of the other one. The first one is, when you do return to Aya, interact with everything. Okay. There is so much to do. There are these, like, little kind of pillars throughout the streets of Aya that you can interact with, and something important happens there.
It's the Keepers all over again.
It's not quite the Keepers, but there's, like, stuff to interact with and stuff to do. And there's lots of people to talk to. Like, you can talk to Governor Paran Shai again. Do you remember when one of the Angara said, he, not it?
Yeah.
That was Avela Kajar, who is a character that you can interact with. I love her. So, like, there's a lot of people to talk to. So, next time you're back on Aya, explore all the things.
Okay.
And my other piece of advice is when you're talking to Jal, you'll notice a symbol that the other characters don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I, to this day, don't really know why they differentiated him with this symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the other characters, when you go to flirt with them, it's a heart symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Jal, you don't get the heart symbol. You get like two figures standing side by side, and it kind of looks like they're holding hands. So my feeling is that the implication is that those choices get you closer to Jal.
Okay.
Like closer to him emotionally.
Okay.
Like you have to build up that friendship before you can start flirting.
Interesting.
Because eventually it will turn to a heart. But first you have to be like, can we be friends first, though?
Interesting. I'm sure one of our loyal listeners will know exactly why that symbol's there and will tell us.
I'm sure someone will. I never, cared enough to find out why it was different. Because I basically treated it like the flirting button.
Right.
Basically. So it's essentially the same.
Is it off the table to ask you who your preferred romance is? Since you're playing honestly this time, I should wait to find out.
I don't think it's off the table. I can tell you which romances I like the best.
Okay.
So I really like both Jal's and Vetra's romances.
Okay.
I've done pretty much all the romances. I haven't done Korra's and I haven't done PB's, but I've watched them because John played them.
Okay.
And I've watched videos of Gil's. So I know all the romances.
I was just curious. I mean, if there was any one that was your type on the ship, it's the two you mentioned, Vetra and Jal. So
yeah, I like a tall, spiky girl, and I also
like a sniper,
like a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. That too, but once you get to know Jal, I think you'll see it a lot more.
Okay,
but. I think they're all great characters, and I think they all have really good romances. I even think Liam's romance is very sweet. I don't think that all of them got the same attention to their romances. I think Korra's, Gil's, and PB's were the most, fleshed out in terms of cutscenes and intimacy.
Okay.
And Jal's were the most fleshed out, in my opinion.
Okay.
A bunch of them got fade to blacks instead of more intimacy. And we've said it before, you don't have to have intimacy that includes sex. Intimacy can be very emotional. Okay. And I feel like they don't often do that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop you there because I don't want this to influence who I fall for. Because I've kind of just been flirting with everybody at this point,
Which is fair. You can certainly do that.
But okay. So thank you for that advice. What are we doing next time?
Yes. So on our next episode, we'll be helping some scientists on Havarl, and we will have our good friend Josh Kostler with us.
Josh Kostler has guested on a bunch of episodes and also has DM'd for us before in our first Blasto episode. So it's exciting to have Josh back.
Yeah. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email with your advice for surviving a new galaxy at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at iHoardLibraries and Matt over at DJ_Stormageddon. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We're also members of the Certain Point of View podcast network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website. And join in the conversation. There is still a channel that is secret to me because I have the notifications turned off on where people are spoilerifically talking about Andromeda, which I will look at once we've finished the season.
And don't forget to go to bit.ly/storminandromeda to put in your predictions for Matt's Andromeda journey. We're going to be closing it out soon, so that way Matt can kind of formulate his opinions, and then we will figure out who wins the most points and will receive the super fan pack that I have yet to build. It will be cute. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because as we get further in the season, I'm probably going to start tweeting more about the game. And that's not spoilers for anyone because everyone has played this. But I don't want to inform people who are actually literally betting on my outcomes. So
yeah, we're gonna. I'll I think at the end of Act 1
Okay.
is when we should close it out.
Makes sense.
I think that makes sense. Great. So, if you're enjoying Andromeda shenanigans, then you should probably catch me over on Archives of the Dragon every other Monday, where my spouse, Professor John Bradley Lestrange, leads us through the wild unknown outside the Helios cluster in Andromeda. You can find that at twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon.
You can also find everything that I'm doing over at www.djstormageddon.com. It's where you can find my merch store, my Ko-fi, you can find my Twitch page, you can find all of the podcasts that I work on besides this one. A one-stop shop for all things Stormageddon.
We'd like to thank Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble, featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kaden Alenko. Though I have a feeling another marshmallow is going to be in the running for favorite. You can find more of his work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
We'd also like to thank Carter's husband, the incredible Case Aiken, for developing more amazing shirts over at Certain POV's Teespring or on the website. You can go to either place to find them.
We'd like to thank David Boyle for redesigning our logo like a champ. And finally, thank you to JT Music and Andrea Storm Caden for our new theme music. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Good luck, Pathfinders.
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Feels like home.
Nostalgia is one of the strongest forces in the human psyche and is responsible for the continued existence of some of our favorite fandoms. From the minds behind the Dole Up in Dreams podcast and Isolation Cast Voices from Quarantine, Saturday Morning Confidential takes you on a deep dive into the properties that helped influence the artists and creators of today. So whether you are a Goonie, a Gem Girl, a Digi-Destined, or you just want to return to Oz, new episodes release on Fridays bi-weekly starting January 1st of 2021, and join us on the Wednesdays after the main show for the Serial Killer Radio Hour, where we sit down with the people responsible for the toys, shows, and fandoms that you love. Now you can find Saturday Morning Confidential at certainpov.com/SMCpod or on your favorite podcast platforms. So don't forget to tune in for another deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.